you're right, Tim. Nice one, nice one. You're right, you're right, you're right. Hmm? Is it? How do I make it full screen now? F. What? Is it recording now? Uh, Hello, my name is Julian Sona, and my my student number is 533 6074. And my introduction is discuss briefly the point of fact finding. The main ways of fact finding is discovering more relevant information to thoroughly researched to help sustain a business, and gathering and delivering accurate information. So I would like to start again. My name is Julian Sona. Good afternoon. My presentation will be covering the numerous methods which can be used in order to find facts. There are three types of fact finding which are as listed: observing, surveying, and questionnaires. Types of questions. There's three types of questions that can be asked to for fact finding, which is one: open, closed, and probing. An open question is an open-ended interview question that gives the respondent a wide range of options to respond openly. For example, how are you doing today? Is a form of an open question because it gives the respondent a chance of a short answer, but they can also elaborate if they choose. Second of all, there's a closed question, limits the respondent's options for various reasons, like saving time and getting straight to the point. Like, for example, are you male or female? Or how are you doing? Or how are you? And a probing question is when the interviewer is questioning the interview and wants the interview to elaborate on the initial answer. For example, please provide an example of a time you did not find the system trustworthy. So it's giving the interviewer is giving the interview a chance to elaborate, like on a past event that could help for future reference for for a new role. So basically, past experiences that can carry over to a new experience. Another form of a probing question could be, could you explain what you meant? These are the types of questions that can enable you to receive accurate information, as each one of them work differently. There are three different question structures, which are pyramid, funnel, and diamond. A pyramid is by using this form of an interview starts with detailed, most often with close questions. The interviewer most likely expands the subject by allowing open-ended questions and more generalized feedbacks. A funnel question is a structure the interviewer may take to deductive approach by starting with generalized open-ended questions and narrowing the possible responses by using closed questions. This interview method can be thought of as a funnel shaped as shown above. And final but not least is a diamond. This is often a combination of a pyramid and funnel structures that results in a diamond shaped interview structure, which is best. This structure involves that beginning is in a very specific way, that analyzing general issues and then coming to a specific conclusion. Slide number 4: quantitative data and qualitative data. For example, a qualitative data assembles information that is not in numeric numerical form, for example, the human body as shown above, and abstracted observations, like for example, race, hair color, eye color, gender, and sexual orientations. Qualitative data is typically descriptive data as such is harder to analyze than quantitative data. A good example of a qualitative data method would be unstructured and group interviews, which generate qualitative data through the use of open questions. This allows the respondent to talk in some depth, choosing their own words. This helps the researcher develop a real sense of a person's understanding of a situation. However, it can be time consuming to conduct the unstructured interview and analyze their qualitative data. Now, quantitative data could be used. An example of a quantitative data is weight, height, date of birth, shoe size, or ring size. Quantitative data assembles information in numerical form, which can be put into categories or in rank order or measured in units of measurements. As in the diagram above shows, this type of data can be used to create graphs and tables of raw data. Slide 5, questionnaires versus interviews. The advantages of a questionnaire is cheap, cost effective, quick, so it's not too time consuming. If the sample size is large enough, then you can get a better response from the targeted audience. And the disadvantage of this is if you misinterpret a question and you'll get the wrong feedbacks and the wrong answers. And there's another disadvantage: you can rush questions, and the audience will get bored. Both and interviews that there's three different types of different interviews. There's a traditional interview, non non-directive interview, and behavioral interviews. Advantage and the advantage of this is to gain a better understanding of the interviewee. A disadvantage can be you can wrongly misjudge an interview based on first impression, and, and questionnaire and interview they both share similarities, which is they both collect qualitative and quantitative data. There are numerous ways in which an interview can be conducted. Below is three different methods that can be used to conduct an interview. A traditional interview is the most common method used when we think of a normal interview. It is normally conducted by the interviewer. The interviewer conducts 25% of the interview and leaves 75% to the interviewee so they can gain more knowledge of the interview, and it can be beneficial for both parties to establish a common ground. An introduction, question, and answer session is designed with specific questions during the interview, then a close of the interview. A non-directive interview is unstructured because it may seem more like a conversation than an interview. The interviewer might choose to do all the talking or none at all, and may leave the interview with long pauses of silence to see how they cope with the situation. This can work to the interview's advantage because it gives them the opportunity to sell themselves about their skills and how it fits the position applied for, and to ask questions. So if the interview is fully prepared for this type of interview, then half the battle is won. And then last and not least, is behavioral interviews. It's a totally different approach interview because some of the employers want to analyze your past work related behavior to see if it fits the criteria of your next role. Potential employers refer to this type of interview as STAR interview method, which stands for S for situation, describe problem, decision, project. T, task, what were the major tasks facing you? A, action, what did you do? And R, result, What were the results of your actions and evaluate the outcome. Slide 7, web surveys. The advantage of web surveys is that it's like gathering accurate data, gathering specific information, saves time, and there's a few radio buttons, which is a one-line text box, strolling text box, tech checkbox, drop-down menu, push button, and scale. This is known as the radio buttons. Print screen, print screen of my web service as above. Survey is a good way of collecting data and specific information. It is easy to develop. There are various ways to conduct a survey, for example, online survey, mobile survey, paper, and a combination of all three modes. The survey's mode usually depend on the type of study and demographics of respondents. Online and mobile surveys are the most cost-efficient modes to carry out a web research that could be of a disadvantage, but it might not reach the targeted respondents that might only be able to use alternative modes. Some of the results of the online surveys and mobile surveys might suffer and differ considerably if important respondents are left out of the survey research. Harder to reach respondents may be slightly easier to reach using more traditional methods such as paper surveys or face-to-face interviews. Advantage of this is relatively easy to administer, can be administered remotely via online, mobile devices, mail, email, kiosk, or telephone. A broad range of data can be collected, example, attitudes, opinions, beliefs, values, behavior, and factual. The disadvantage of this is respondents may not feel encouraged to provide accurate, honest answers. Customized surveys can run the risk of containing certain types of errors, and respondents may not feel comfortable providing answers that prevent themselves in an unfavorable manner. Sampling and investigation. The advantage of sampling contains and maintains is cost efficient to speed up the data gathered, improve effectiveness, reduce bias, and saves time. Investigation to gather information or data about an individual uses both quantitative and qualitative data, and what the similarities like sampling and investigation share is they are both obstructive. The main need for sampling, there are numerous reasons why a system analyst would want to select either a representative sample of data or to examine all representative people to interview. Questions to observe, these include in the following below. Investigations in the act of discovery and analysis of data may investigate evidence in an organization, and analysis acts like a private investigator, like Sherlock Holmes, for example, with the fabled detective from 221B Baker Street. As a system analysis works to understand users, their organization, and its information requirements, it becomes important to examine different types of hard data that offer information unavailable through any other method of data gathering. Observations. There are two different types that I've gone for, which is a mystery shopper to measure the service performance, and storecast to keep track of customer patterns and behavior. Observing what people are doing, this is a fact finding, gives examples of people, business observing, like able to change things, like example, Liberty Store London. A mystery shopper is a form of participant observation. It was created to make researchers mislead customer service personnel into believing that they are indeed serving real customers or potential customers, so they can measure the level of customer care provided and observe customer interaction while personnel to see where improvements can be made. Store cards is a frequent buyer redemption card. There is a data encoded into the card which includes name, address, sex, and title. This data is used to tap into the company's database to gather further identification or demographic information about its clients. Incentives can be awarded. It's efficient, personalized, and timely manner, cost-effective, and customer-friendly. administration of frequent buyer a census program for marketing of goods and service achieved. Data for the diagram. Summary. To sustain a successful business, it needs to be rapid with gathering and delivering information effectively, which means that the business saving cost and time are shown in the case study presentation. Fact finding is very important for a foundation of a business. How do I stop? Thank you. My name is Julian Sona. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. My email address is sonaj@cuccollegecoventry.ac.uk.